Hello, everybody. This is Debbie Eno from Teacher Success Coach with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable with another educator from across the waters, our next door neighbor from the UK, US, our next door neighbor, you know. Welcome, Aisha. Tell us about yourself. Tell us where you come from and tell us what you teach and how long you've been teaching, etc. Thank you for accepting the offer to come on. I really do appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Debbie, for having me on. My name is Aisha Taylor. I am an author, educator, speaker, and I am known as the confidence coach, educator's confidence coach as well. And I teach industry leaders and teachers confidence boosting strategies that position them to make a more significant impact both in and out of the classroom. And what that simply means is I teach you strategies to show up as your best self for your students and for yourself. A little bit about myself. I've been in education for around 15 or 16 years. I started out as a criminal justice teacher, believe it or not.
Whoa!
And kind of just worked my way up. And I'm currently an assistant principal. I have been an assistant principal now, I think, for 7 or 8 years.
Oh, wow.
I absolutely love what I do. I love being in education, but I do know that it is very challenging. I understand the struggle is real.
Yep.
I am an assistant principal, but I also am an adjunct instructor. I teach at community college, at 2 community colleges, actually. So I am still technically in the classroom.
All right. Okay. So you're also hands-on sometimes, which is fantastic. Yes. I know there's some assistant principals who are not hands-on, but in the school I'm in, the assistant principals are all hands-on, which is wonderful because you actually give them an understanding of what we face on a daily basis and how some of our real challenges are. Because as you say, the challenge is real. It's so real. It's so real.
It really is. I do think it's important, like you said, that we stay close to the classroom so that we don't forget and that we are able to authentically help coach teachers in the classroom. So I think we all should at least teach a class or go in there. I think that should be permitted. It has to be permitted for us to stay close.
Yeah, I think it is so true because, at least you know what the real struggle is. It's like on Tuesday, I think Wednesday I was running late because the trains were on strike. The trains they were going to be on strike on Thursday or Friday, but they were messing up on Wednesday. So I rang them and I said to them I was running late. So when I got into I got into school about 5 minutes later than normally. So it's like running up, getting myself and going. When I went to the classroom, the students say, "Oh, Saw was here," and I say to them, "Who saw?" And I say to them, and they say, "Oh, can you not remember, miss? The head teacher." I said, "Oh, right." I said, "What did he come for?" "Oh, he's going to take the class, right?" So when he came back, he said to me, "Oh, miss, your hair." And he said, "You all are really lucky I was going to take the class, right?" And it was so funny because I said to them, "You guys are really lucky because I was just teaching sociology." He said, "I was going to take the class. So you guys have been saved by Miss. Miss, I haven't done the register yet, so start by taking the register." And it was really funny. I said, at least he's not taking the class. And it's really nice because that head teacher, I've never been in a school that a head teacher is so hands-on. Because I do covers, I do cover. So I go from school to school, which is wonderful. I love it. And the thing about it is this is the only school I've been in where the head teacher, he is hands-on. He do the dinner table, he do the, the after school, he does the classroom, he and the student are bantering. And it's like students saying to, "But sir, why, I told outside is cold." And they say, "I told you take your coat off. Do you want me to take the coat for the rest of the day?" And it's like, it is so lovely to see that head teacher hands-on. Because not in a lot of school you see head teachers that's hands-on. The fact that he was going to teach my lesson, right? He was going to teach my lesson because, I called him and I said to them, the trains were running late. So he was in there ready to teach my lesson. And I thought that was wonderful.
That is refreshing. Yes. Like, it's almost like a co-teach type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really, because he said that, because he went, he came in, he told them that the train, I had problem with the train, and he said he's just going to go back to get his material, and he came back with his folder. He was funny, he came back with his folder, his paper, and everything else, and he said, oh, you
Yeah.
guys are lucky, Miss is here now, so I'm just going to leave you guys are really lucky. And he said, may I start by taking the register, because I haven't taken the register yet. So it was really, it was lovely. He made me feel, wow, that's brilliant. I've taught in so many schools in the last 3-4 years, over 20 schools. Not in any of them I've seen a head teacher so hands-on. Yeah.
Wow.
Hands-on. He's hands-on.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful. I've been in school where the head teacher, all she wants to do is do the dinner hall. But she would not go outside, to do duty outside in the rain like the others. But this teacher is actually going out. It's raining, he has his umbrella. I had a meeting with him and I said to him, oh, so I'm supposed to see? He said, yes, I know you're supposed to see me, but I need to see the children off now. So I'll be back, And it was funny because he said to me, and he go with his umbrella, going to see the children off. And he came back after 20 minutes and said, oh, yes, I've seen them all off now. So I'm now, come back so we can have the meeting. And I thought that was fantastic.
Yes, it's important that you see your leaders in the work, right?
Yes, yes. It makes you want to be there, and it makes you want to do so much more for that school,
Yes.
And he has a fantastic team of teachers. He has a fantastic team of teachers. They are so dedicated. It's just fantastic. It's really,
and part of that is because they see him getting in the trenches with them and doing that work, or stepping in like he was going to step in for you when need be. That makes a big difference cultural wise. That makes a difference as far as his leadership. And like you said, everybody enjoy working under him. It makes a difference.
Yeah, he really, he just, and even when it's, dinner time, it's just really nice. I said to him, it's so funny to see you and the children bantering, because they always have something to say to him. There's always a debate, and he's so knowledgeable, always a debate. It could be, a debate on sociology, a debate on current affairs. And it's like to hear the children debating, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And none of them giving up, nobody's giving up, right? Nobody said, until the student actually take that tray and go for the dinner, then they say, they leave and carry on, It's just really wonderful to see. It really is wonderful to see.
Yes, yes. I couldn't agree more with having the leaders get in the trenches. So that's refreshing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, thank you very much for that. One of the things is we're looking at transitioning from online back into the physical classroom. And what has it been like for you going back into the physical classroom?
I'm going to speak on the lens of a teacher being in the classroom, and also from being as an assistant principal. Going back into the classroom, what I've seen my teachers struggle with, particularly in the district that I'm in, is technology has almost become a crutch at this point. Remember when we were doing the pandemic, everything went online. So we were trying to find those engaging tools, those instructional strategies, and some teachers were well versed in technology and some wasn't. So they didn't feel as comfortable or as confident. And so particularly where I am, our students have been having Chromebooks and laptops way prior before the pandemic. We were one of the first districts where every student, when they enroll, they get a Chromebook, right? A little laptop. So when switching over to everything being online, or when the pandemic hit, it was just literally putting the students' lessons online and teachers learning how to teach online. There was no handing out the Chromebooks and all that because they already had it. So now what we see going back in is, when I say being used as a crutch, I mean that teachers have become so used to uploading work and putting their lessons and everything online, as if you're teaching an online class, that you don't see the physical engagement in class. You don't see, it's rarely that you see teachers up and actually teaching and going around like you do that academic monitoring, their direct instruction. And so that's what we're struggling with, particularly where I am. technology is, we don't want it to be a crutch. Remember, technology is supposed to be an enhancement, right?
Wow, this is interesting. Whereas in the UK, most teachers seem to shy away from the technology. We are all in there. We are all hands-on. The technology seems to be forgotten, as if we never had the use of the technology. Because in this school I'm in, in this school I'm in, and even the school before that, you know, the only thing that the technology have been used for is to, you know, probably to do PowerPoints and stuff like that. Everything else, you know, like group work exercise, you know, getting the student to come and teach on the whiteboard, you know, we have the interactive board. It's like as if we didn't use the technology at all. We are back in hands-on.
Oh, wow. So prior to no technology, so now has it increased, or are people a little bit more eager to use it, or no, still the same?
No, it's a situation where as if we had not even used it as a major tool during COVID.
Oh,
because
my.
my only use of technology, this school I'm in, they really do not support technology in a big way. Because even in terms of putting lessons on Teams or putting it on Google Classroom, they do not have Google Classroom. They do not have Teams. This was only used for the pandemic. The pandemic is gone, so now you go back into your classroom. So if I have to send PowerPoint for the students, I have to email it to them. And one of the challenges, there's sometimes some of my PowerPoint have images on it, or there are short videos on it, and I have to chop up the PowerPoints into, you know, into small chunks so that I could upload it and send it to them, because there is no Google Classroom and there's no team, so you could just upload it in a central place. Oh, this is the first school I've seen this, where there is no Google Classroom to load it up. In the school I was in from September to December, I had Google Classroom, so I was just uploading it in the group in Google Classroom, but it wasn't used for teaching. You just send the student the PowerPoint so they've got it. But in this school, you have to email to them. And I find it so frustrating sometimes, because when I'm trying to upload the PowerPoints are too big. So I'm sitting there chopping, okay, should I send 2 at a time? Should I send 3 at a time? And you know, in the end, I just don't bother. So me, have you sent the PowerPoint? No, because it's taking too long. I say, you guys will copy it from the system, because it's taking long, because it has got, you know, images or short videos, as I said. So videos also take up a lot of space, and you cannot just upload it as part of as an email. Whereas when I actually do those in other schools, oh yes, there's a group Google Classroom, fling it on the group. But when you have to put this video, you sometimes it's only the video you could send. And then you send the PowerPoint after, because the video is too big and it's telling you, sorry, too large. I think, oh, you know, and you're thinking, oh, forget this, man. I don't have time. I have, you know, and then you have to send it, you know, you have to go and click, because in my groups, they're small, click. I ain't got time for that. So in that school, the technology is not used as it once was. Because one of the things I said to my line manager, I said, oh, I've got to send the student the PowerPoint. She said, email it. I said, what do you mean email it? I said, what about Google Classroom or Team? She said, we don't have that. We only had it for during COVID time. I said, what? I said, this is backwards.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, we're not going 21st century, we're going backward.
Yeah, I said, so that's backward. I said, I understand if we shouldn't use it for teaching, but we need it to upload information, because a lot of schools, it is not used as a teaching tool anymore, but it's used as a group to send resources to students. I agree with that. You know, so it's interesting, because you guys have that the teachers are not moving away from the technology, but it's the opposite. We are hands in there, you know, hands on,
Yeah.
you know, group work exercise. Even up to yesterday, I had my student, you know, doing the mind map and because they got exams like next week. And I said, okay, this is an exam question. Go teach it to the rest of us, you know, teach it on, use the whiteboard and teach it to us. And any gaps we fill it in. That's, you know, so you're going wrong. You know, checking, okay, have you done that? Okay, good. So we are going wrong. We are hands-on, you know, connecting with the students.
Yes, no, I have teachers that we use a platform called Schoology.
Yes,
and
I know
so
that, yeah.
they will upload the whole entire semester on as if they're in a college course. And that's what it reminds me of, like a learning management system, where you're taking an online course and everything is already uploaded, the lessons are in chunks. We literally have to go in and supervise and say, hey, you know, you need to get up. Not the kids should not just be coming into the classroom, and as soon as they get in there, they're uploading their laptops or their Chromebooks, and they are staring at the computer for 8 hours. That's not what we want in education. It's an enhancement. So after you give that initial direct instruction, then you use that technology as an enhancement and for them to show and practice what it is that you're teaching. But that's the struggle that we're being challenged with having, I don't want to say so much technology, but in a way, yes, having access to the technology and not using it properly. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's interesting because my students have, in sixth form, they all have the iPad, and they come into my class and I say to them, it's now the PowerPoint, and you need to, when I talk and I explain, you need to make notes, not using your iPad. iPads are all off. So they come in and the first thing they do, they're ready to use the iPad. No. iPad off, close iPad. Where are your exercise book? Where are your paper? Pen and paper. So, you know, and it's like, that's the question I say, well, miss, what's the point of we having the iPad? I say, yes. I say, it's an assistant. I say, you do not sit there and every minute you're ready to take the picture of the PowerPoint. Do you understand what I've just discussed? No, you don't. Okay, yes, miss, I do. I say, okay, then explain it. But you can't, right? So that's why I say, iPad off. And as soon as they're reaching, they know me so well. You know, iPad is already off. Exercise book or pen and paper. Because I said to them, exactly. Because I said to them, in the exam, you don't have the iPad, except you're getting assistance. So you have to use your pen and paper. So practice writing, you know. So that's how we use it. It's interesting.
And that's something that we practice writing. That's an issue over here in the States. Like kids are not physically writing anymore. Everything is technology based. And so it's a gift and a curse.
Oh, wow. You see, because I feel that putting the lesson on the system and just getting them to stare at the screen, I'm not too sure what amount of knowledge they're getting on. Plus, I just feel that they're just learning it through fashion. They're not really understanding it. They're memorizing it. And I don't want you to memorize it, because if you forget one sentence or one word, you've lost the whole string. I want you to understand it. Hence the reason why I'm going to go at the whiteboard and go through my PowerPoint and say, okay, summarize it. Let's summarize it. Do you understand what I've said? Okay, summarize your understanding of what I've just explained to you. Other than just copy, other than just repeating it. It means that, you know, you're in trouble. You need to understand it. I must say over here, we don't have that. We do not have that. We don't have that problem here.
Wow. Yeah. No, if we took technology away, I know you guys hear the stories with the cell phones. That's like one of the biggest issues in, you know, over here with cell phones, and the kids are being on it, and it causes so many problems within the educational system, from behavior to even instruction. So it's tough. It's a hard balance. You want, because you want 21st century learning, you want 21st century technology, and you want students to be able to use that technology more than just social media. But they don't know how to use it educational wise and business wise. And so it's a hard balance. And we haven't even figured that out, I don't think, as educators completely on how to do that.
It's interesting. I've got one student in my year 12 group. I've got two of them. One of them I caught last week. And I love this one. Anytime I go on the board writing something or go to put my PowerPoint on, when I look, she's on that phone. I say, I told you before, I'm going to take that phone away from you. Because you see, we in some classes, you have to take the phone from them. Because
you guys can take the phone?
Yes.
Oh, wow. We can't.
Yes. It's like I said to them, I said, this is my second warning. If I have to do a third warning, this phone come in and sit right next to me on the desk, and you do not get it until the end of the day, which means all lunchtime, you have no phone. So you make your decision here. And the phone goes back into the bag. And if I see the phone again, it's like I said to one 2 weeks ago, I said, come. Phone on the desk, phone on the desk. Oh, but miss, I was looking up a definition. I didn't ask you to look at definition up. Put it on the desk. And another one, really? In the desk. I have 3 phones on my desk at one point. Yeah, we can't take it.
That is a huge problem. Administrators can come in and get the kids' phone or ask them to give you the phone. But if they don't give up the phone, like, it becomes a big ordeal. Parents will come up there. It is a huge issue over here in the United States with cell phones being in the classroom and kids having them. They do not just easily give up those phones.
Oh my, yeah, but if they decide to argue, it's a detention or leave the classroom. It's as simple as that.
No.
Well, in some schools that when they're year 10, they cannot have the phone from year 10 down. Or from year 11, which means we're talking about 12, 13, probably about 14. In some schools, they cannot have the phone. They cannot have a phone out, from 14 years. It's going to be upwards. If they're caught with the phone at lunchtime, break time, then it's going to be taken and your parents have to come and get the phone.
So I've worked on a campus years ago where we did that. We would take the phone, and at some point the parent has to get the phone.
Yeah.
But I would say since we've come back from the pandemic, that has heightened to where, because we have the issues that we have in education with school shootings and all these things happening on campuses, parents fight back on taking kids' phones. They want their kids to have their phones in case something happens. So sadly to say, sometimes we can't get a parent to come to the campus for a student's academics or behavior. But if we take that phone, they're coming.
Wow. We kind of are fortunate here, because if you see a year 10, year 11 student with the phone, why have you got your phone out? Really? Pass it. And it's like they'll give you a pile of excuses, but they have to pass this phone. And it's like, I've been in schools where they have a box. And as the student come in, even the sixth one, they come in, the phone have to go in this box. And at the end of the lesson, they come and get the phone back. So because phone is a real issue.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, we have teachers that have their own policies within their classroom. This year, they had the autonomy to kind of, have their own processes, how they wanted to deal with the cell phones. I had teachers, like you said, as soon as you come in the door, they may have the little shoe thing on, hanging up, and they have to put their phones in a little slot. I had teachers where the kids, before you come in, take your cell phone out put your cell phones in your backpack, or you hand it to me. They do different things. When they're using it for instruction, you may see a sign up that says, cell phones in use or something like that. But then you also, Ms. Debbie, have those teachers that are new, are not sure, and they don't want the stress of having to keep up with the cell phone. Because at a public school where we are, I can't just tell the students to put their cell phone on my desk. Because if I turn my back, if that cell phone is not locked up, unfortunately, that phone is going to be taken. And when a cell phone is taken, the responsibility lies back on the teacher. They're responsible for it if a kid steals their cell phone while they're in their class and they took it. And they just don't want to deal with it. Our teachers are like, well, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to ask for a cell phone because I don't want to be responsible for it. So it's
Yeah.
almost like catch 22.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I must say we are blessed. We are blessed, because either that phone go in your back, I don't want to hear it. And the minute they probably might forget the phone and the phone ring, sorry, miss, sorry. And it's like full apologies, right? Because they know that's wrong. They know you're likely to take the phone, so you get a whole string of apologies. Okay, that's fine. Just switch off the phone. Just switch off the phone.
Yeah,
So,
we have some students that will fight back on that cell phone. I'm sure you guys see all the videos that circle around over here in the US regarding teachers taking cell phones and end up getting into fights, and kids will fight you over the cell phone. It's crazy.
oh my goodness. No, I must say, so far in the schools I've been in, you have the authority to take the phone or tell them put it in the bag. And if you've given them, two warnings and this phone is still, you take the phone or they have a detention, So it's like all of those, so we blessed. Oh my goodness.
Yes, you
Wow.
are.
Wow. Right, thank you. Since you've been back, what is the relationship like between you and the students?
I think my relationships with the kids I think it's better. I think it became a reflective moment for me because I realized after going through a pandemic, not just for myself as a teacher, as an educator, but also with the kids, that we have to dive deeper, right? When we are trying to figure out what's going on with kids. It actually kind of shined a light on resilience within the classroom with kids. So I think the building relationship, we always talk about that, building relationships with kids, building relationships. I think we realize how important that is more so now, post-pandemic, than before.
Why though? Why?
I think because of the mental concerns that the pandemic have brought about with adults and with kids. Think about it. The kids that went through the pandemic, they are thrown back into the classroom and they spent roughly almost 2 years outside of school without going in. And so when they were not on a campus where they could engage socially with their peers, where they are able to get that social interaction, we were dealing with debts, we were dealing with uncertainty, we were dealing with safety, we were dealing with family members dying. So all of those things played a part with them. So building that relationship now is more important than ever, because mentally we want to know how we're able to not only engage our students, but connect with our students. If we don't find that out, what we're teaching in the classroom doesn't matter, because they're not going to comprehend it, because it's not important to them. Until we figure out what's important to them and how to reach them, we have to be able to meet our students where they are. But that also plays a part with us as adults, as teachers as well.
Thank you. I love it that you say we need to meet the student where they are. This is something I constantly say. We cannot meet them where we think they ought to be. We need to meet them exactly where they are. They're here, we meet them there. It doesn't matter where we think they should have been. We can't. Because as we know, they're 2 years behind. So if it means that we are meeting them where they are in 2 years behind, we just have to meet them there. And that is so important, because many times when you try to meet them where you think they ought to be, you realize that you're way ahead of them. They don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly, right? Exactly. That's why it's important, not only mental wise, but even instructional wise, that you need to find out where your kids are when they first get into your classroom. Those pre-tests and those post-tests, those make the biggest difference, because how do I know where I need to take my kids if I don't know where they are? If I didn't examine where they need to be, so I wouldn't know how to reach them. I had that conversation with a couple of my team members. I'm like, did you do a pre-test? How did you know what they knew? You just started teaching, automatically assuming that they were on the level that you thought they should be on. And you and I both know most of the time that is not the case at all.
And, that's not the case at all in normal condition before we even had a COVID, right? So now
Yes.
it's even worse.
It is even worse. We like to say there's a gap. Well, we need to mind that gap. And now, right, we need to mind that gap. This is where all our social emotional learning comes in, not just for students, but for us as adults, because our behavior betrays on our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, it's so true. And talking about behavior, I was saying to one of my colleagues, I said, she was just saying how tired she was. And I said, you know what, the students have exams starting from next week. And do you realize the energy that you're bringing into the classroom, the students are feeding off your energy. I said, so those things we have to be so careful. As much as I'm feeling the issue of, oh my goodness, they have exams, I'm going in hands all over the place with excitement. Because I think it is so important that they see, not the, oh my goodness, I'm really worried about you. No. Even though deep down you worry, they don't need to know that, because the energy you give out, they actually feed off that energy. That's what I was saying to her. And I say, we need to be so mindful of those energies we bring into the classroom.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about being a confident educator. I don't think that we get the word out enough, or that educators know that how you feel when you are standing in front of the classroom, talking to your peers, talking to those students, they feel that energy, exactly what you said. And that affects our low performers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Research says that high efficacy teachers and low efficacy teachers, the difference is their confidence and how they feel, their pose, how they're dealing with their students in front of the classroom. That is one of the secrets to low performing students, having a confident teacher. Why? Because they usually have multiple tools in their tool belts, like I like to call different strategies, where they're able to reach those kids because they know where their kids are. They're meeting them where they are.
That is so true. So true. Because in the school I'm in, it is so funny. As soon as I walk into the school, the students are shouting me. I said, what's the matter with you guys? Let me get into the school first. And it's like, Miss Eno. I said, say good morning to me. It's now shouting my name out. And it's like, oh, but Miss, it's like one of them said to me on Friday, because I was late and the head teacher came in, right? It's like, Miss, don't you ever do that. I said, what did I do? I said, I was just running late. No, Miss, don't you ever do that, because we didn't know whether or not you were coming back. I said, come on. And it was so, it's like one of my peers, my head of department said, oh, but Debbie, that is really nice. I said, you know the amount of pressure that feels? When, I say, okay, you might think it's nice, but it's pressure. Because as soon as I walk in, they don't even wait for me to put my bag down. I'm walking through that door and I'm walking up the stairs. I'm tired because I just ran, quick run from the train station because I need to get in, I have X, Y, Z and do. And I'm walking up the stairs. And before I'm actually in, they see me from the back. And it's like, Miss, oh, we were waiting for you. Let me get in first. It might be nice, but it's tiring, right? It's tiring, And one of them said to me, oh, Miss, when I see you, you really inspire me. I said, I haven't said anything, I said, just walk in. I haven't said anything. So it's really interesting to see that, as you rightly say, when we actually show up in our classroom, we need to be very mindful how we show up, because it could make or break the student. And especially, as you said, the low performing students.
Yes, low performance students learn best from confident teachers because they are able to reach them. There's a cognitive thing that's going on mentally, where they know exactly where they are. And if they don't know, they're willing to employ different strategies to try to reach them. And usually when you have a low efficacy teacher, they don't have that knowledge. It's not that they don't want to, they don't have the knowledge and they don't have the tools at that point to be able to pull from that to reach those low performing students.
That's so powerful, I never really thought of it like this. That is so powerful. Those are the reason why, right? These shows are so powerful, okay?
Yes.
It's so powerful.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. What does, in terms of discipline, what is discipline like in the classroom now after COVID?
It's a struggle. It's a struggle on both ends. I'll speak from the teacher lens first. What I am finding is teachers are not as, and I can't say this for all teachers, but as involved as they were, I believe. And when I say involved, I mean with classroom management. It appears that it's like, well, I don't have to deal with that. Let me put that on leadership, or let me just write the kid up, or I'm not gonna do any strategies to try to control the environment in my classroom. So what I tell teachers is, when a student misbehaves in the classroom or is a challenge, when you call me as an assistant principal, you take your power away.
Mm-hmm.
You take your power away. If you did not try to mitigate that situation, if you didn't try to go through those classroom strategies, then you take your power away. If every time a kid misbehaves or act up in the class and you say, hold on, let me call Miss Taylor. So that means that that student is looking at you as a teacher and saying, well, you're not gonna do anything. You can't do nothing. You immediately took your power away. So we need to be mindful as teachers, even as simple as calling the parent. My teachers are struggling with calling parents because they feel like parents are not as supportive. And so what I have to relate to them is, of course, you have some of your parents that are not involved and they may not be supportive, but it is a part of our educational responsibility to reach out to that parent, whether that parent is mad at you, whether that parent is disgruntled, whether that parent curses you out, whatever the case may be. You have a professional responsibility to reach out to that parent first. Let them know what their child is doing. Me calling them should not be the first time that they hear that little Johnny did not want to put his cell phone away when they never heard from you as a teacher. I don't have the details on that. You as a teacher has the details on that. I will back you up 100% and support you, but you're going to call that parent.
It's interesting.
And so that's been the struggle. Yes.
Wow, it's interesting because we have to call the parents, because yesterday we had parents. It used to be evening. It's not parents evening; it's Parents' Day. So the whole day, the year group I teach, which is year 10, the parents came to see me, etc., etc. So it's like from year 8 to year 10, right? Parents came in, and it was interesting because I must say, the parents you want, you never get, right? But it was quite nice. We had quite a number of them, which was quite nice. But, those that didn't turn up, they'll be getting phone calls and say, well, we expected you to turn up, your child X, Y, Z. And it's really nice because anytime even year 12 and year 13, anytime the behavior is not accepted or they don't do their work, I'm on the phone to the parents. Saying, well, I'm very disappointed. Your child is fantastic, but I'm so disappointed because he have not given me any of the homework I said. He's supposed to be doing exam questions, and I haven't seen any exam questions. I don't know what his essay writing is like. So they need to know that. So we do that, and even in terms of discipline, you actually call the external team to put the student in exclusion only last resort. It's like, on Thursday, I put 4 of them outside because they didn't know how to stop talking. And then one by one, I call them in. I say, okay, any more disruption, I'm going to call home. So we have to do that. There's nobody for us to say, call the principal. No. We have to deal with these things ourselves.
That is refreshing to hear, but no, that is a struggle that we are finding where teachers are not wanting to call. They're afraid to call home because they're afraid of the reaction from the parents. They are literally afraid. I have had to go to teachers' classroom and say, at this time, we're going to call the parent. And that shouldn't be the case. They should have exactly the type of attitude that you have as a teacher. Like, that is your classroom. That is your throne. That is where you are giving all of your knowledge and you putting all of your time into these kids. The parents should hear from you. And we are having a problem with Just simple as that. I will kick a referral back to the teacher and say, I would love to support you on this. However, I see that you, because there's a little box that they have to check to say that they contact a parent. And when it has a no, I kick an email back to them and say, I would love to support you on this. Please confirm when you have contacted the parent.
Yeah, it's important though, because guess what? We are the one in the classroom. We know what the child have been doing. You don't, right? You are having secondhand information. And sometimes when we give it to you, you may not even have the right thing. So it is important that we call the parents and say, okay, as you say, little Johnny is have not done the work I've said, have not done the essay, have not done the exam practice. So therefore, I am not too sure how he or she will perform in the exam because they have not done enough exam practice. And therefore, it's the parents to say, okay, X, Y, Z, Y, etc. Like yesterday, the parents, I said to one parent, I said, she is fantastic, but you know what? She don't know how to stop talking. And I said, she don't know how to stop talking. I said, I would love her to put that talk into the writing. I said, it'll be fantastic. I said, apart from that, I have no problem.
That lets you know that it's two things either. It's the mindset of some of our teachers, right? Because they are afraid to contact parents. So it lets me know that it may be the mindset. And you're not used to the audience that you are catering to. And when I say that, that means the demographics. Either you're not comfortable with the demographic of students and their parents, and you're not diving in deep enough to build that relationship to be able to understand. That goes back to your last question with the social emotional part and the mental side of what teachers deal with and what students deal with. I think the teachers are dealing with things mentally, and so they're not willing to dive in to see what's going on with the kids. All they want to do is teach. Well, Maslow's law told us that if kids don't feel safe, if they don't feel loved, all of those things going up the hierarchy, then they don't care.
Exactly, that is true, because we need to teach holistic children, and you can't just teach the academic, because the academic, forget it, because they're not even learning, because they're too busy engaging all the things that's going on in their life. That's the thing about it. And that is so true. It's like, I'm listening to you saying that the teachers are not phoning home. It doesn't matter if a parents cuss you off, You just have to say, you know what? Next time, probably I need to deal with this, differently. Or see, it's like yesterday when one parent came and she's, it was funny though. It was two of us teach the same subject because there's a split group. And the parent said, well, I'm not happy about the way my child is being taught, especially in the Thursday lesson, right? And I know the lesson is me she's talking about. And she said, when a teacher say to the student that, oh, they're disgusting, they're disgusting, I said, no, I said to the student, their behavior is disgusting. I said, I don't know the children. So I cannot say the children are disgusting. I said, their behavior is disgusting because they have two new children in the classroom and they're not even pretending to have proper behavior, which means these two new children are seeing the behavior and thinking, do I want to stay here? I say, I cannot talk about the children because I don't know them is the behavior. And, she was saying, oh, the fact that the children are so disruptive, etc. Yes, they are. But at the same time, we need to meet them where they are. I understand that your child feels that she's not learning as much as she can, but we cannot just exclude the children that is behaving badly. We need to find out what the problem is. It's like my colleague said, well, I understand that and I appreciate that, but we need to look at how we could best support the children, even the one that's been disruptive, because there's some reasons why they're disruptive. I understand that your child is feeling, that she's not experiencing, the beauty of, the subject, etc. And sometimes she feel like giving up. That is in life, you would have those, but you need to find different strategies. So it was fantastic because I sat there with a smile on my face, right? Because when she's talking about the lesson, I know it was my lesson, right? So I just own up and I say exactly what I said, because I say, I cannot say that children are disgusting. I would say their behavior. And I said, ask your daughter. I said, that behavior was disgusting because I don't know these children. I could only go by the behavior, which I felt was disgusting because you have two new children in the classroom. And, the fact that these children are deciding whether or not they want to come and stay in the school. And if your behavior is like that, you're running them away. You know, she just sat there, she said, yes, thank you. And I think, yeah, I'm not going to shy away from what I say, right? I'm going to own my thing, you know.
Yes.
So
That's
it's
what we need more
interesting.
of. Yes, we need more of that mindset that you have right there. Resilient educator mindset. We're loose. I think we've lost it a lot post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Teachers are worn down. They're like, we're asking too much of them. But we have to remember, professional development without personal development is a recipe for destruction.
Definitely, 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 definitely. Because, you know, the same way the students are having challenges in terms of dealing with their emotional, regulating their emotions, some teachers are. And I say to teachers, the plus for me is because I'm coming from a psychological background. So I find it easier because I know that I cannot teach a child unless I start unpacking some of the psychological baggage they're carrying.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
That's good. Yes.
Anyway, thank you. Another thing is, what are the things that stress you out as a teacher?
As a teacher, I would say cell phones, and I'll say the top three: cell phones, parents, and the paperwork from administration. I would say that. If just from talking to teachers, and you know, I do my surveys and that kind of stuff, I would say those would be the top tier that stress our teachers out over here. Wow. And maybe even safety.
Yeah.
Safety would be up there. They don't feel safe.
Yeah. Thank you. That's interesting because for us here, when I ask my teachers, you know, what really stressed you is the curriculum, because too short a time for the amount you have to deliver. It's the contents. You know, you have so short a time for which you have to deliver this content. And it's like you are skating over the contents because you're not giving them in depth because you don't have the time. So therefore, if your subject is psychology or sociology or history and you love this subject, you find that you just have to give them the cream of it. You cannot even dig deep into it, just the cream, because enough for them to just pass these exams. So it's like a programming process. It's like a conveyor belt, dun, 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 get them out. You know, and it's quite sad because it's like one of my history teacher was saying to me that he said, I love history with a passion. And he said, it frustrates me because I cannot even teach history. I just have to skim the history.
It's almost like ours, vice versa.
Yeah.
I would say more so post-pandemic, where teachers were teaching to the test. They couldn't, like you said, I can't dive into what I love to teach. I can't get into the root of it because I find myself teaching to the test. I'm trying to follow the scope and sequence. We have so many TEKS and standards that we may have to hit prior to the test. So I can't get into it like I want to get into it.
Yeah. And that's one of the issue I find with teaching, which is leading me to the next question. What do you feel that being a teacher in the 21st century is more challenging than ever before?
Absolutely, no doubt, hands, no doubt. Again, just kind of going back in the last couple of years, look at how education have changed so much. With online learning, with technology, with safety issues. It is a whole new world, and we're trying to adapt is really what we're trying to do at this point. 21st century, the 21st century educator does not look like any other educator than ever before. We wear many hats. We are counselors, we are parents, we are raising kids, which we shouldn't be. We are teaching kids some of the things that we shouldn't be teaching kids that actually parents should be teaching kids. So it's almost like we're all in one. And that's why we're finding, statistically wise, that educators are not staying in the field. They're burnt out. They're leaving the field in droves, and research says 3 to 5 years and they're out. Why is that? We have to look deeper into why that is the case. And that's the case because we are having to do so many different things. We don't feel that we are treated as professionals. We don't feel like the pay is there, right? But we're still being asked each year. It's like layers. They're adding to everything that we do. We should not be raising kids.
Yep.
We should be educating kids.
Yeah, that is so very, very, very true. And that's why in the UK, we've been going on strike for more pay.
Yes.
And, and the thing is, when we go on strike, when you go back, the work still pile up for you to finish,
Yes.
So it's a real challenge. It's a real challenge. Thank you for that. Do you think that teaching should be teacher-led, teacher-center, or student-led, student-center?
The ideal classroom where kids are engaged in their learning is no doubt student-led. When you as an educator get to that point where you are in your classroom teaching and the students, and it's student-led where the students are able to have academic talk, they are able to have that small group work and practice, they are able to do them things independently, then you are exactly in the space where you should be in with a student-led class. That is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate goal for us as teachers. We're teachers first before we're anything. Us as teachers to be able to give the lesson, give that instruction, and then see our kids take that lesson, comprehend it, be able to model it, and then be able to do it independently. Isn't that a part of the whole gradual release model? I do, we do, you do. I do it, I teach it, I show you how to do it, then we model it. I do it with you, we do it together. Then to be able to release you and you are able to do it on your own, that is the ultimate goal of a teacher.
Yep. I'm afraid it doesn't always happen.
It doesn't. That's why I said ultimate. That's why I said that is the ultimate goal. That's the level that we want to get to with all of our classes as teachers. We want to get to that level of student-led. When I was the principal of a charter school, we had something called student-led conferences. We call it SLED. It was student-led conferences. And this is where, you know how we do open house, where you invite the parents and the parents come and see what the student has been learning and what's going on campus at the time. Well, with student-led conferences, it's kind of the total opposite. The kids worked on what they were going to be showing their parents. They were actually engaged in the academic talk of sharing with their parents, this is what we're doing. And they were able to show them to the work. So instead of me as a teacher saying, hey, this is what we're doing, this is my expectation, the students actually led that. And so that was one of the things that I thought was a very good strategy as far as flipping that open house from putting it on the teachers to putting it back on the students. And it holds them accountable. It holds them accountable. It's that student owning their learning. So even if little Johnny is not able to say, well, this is what we're doing in Miss Debbie's class, this is, this is my portfolio, guess who the parent is gonna ask? They're gonna ask the student. They're not gonna ask Miss Debbie anymore because this is a student-led conference. Miss Debbie is gonna be there for support to say, well, this could be part of the reason why little Johnny has not been able to do X, Y, and Z.
I love that idea. Yeah, I love that idea. I love it. It really is lovely because it actually gives the students more autonomy. It gives them take more responsibility. It also means that they will show up more. They will show up more.
Yes, you and I both know it is a difference when the child have to explain to their parent than when I have to explain to their parent.
Yeah, exactly, which is so very true. Thank you. And the last final question is, what are some of the tips that you would give to teachers to deal with their mental health and well-being, to reduce anxiety, overwhelm, and burnout, because we know they're leaving the profession after 3 to 5 years, they're saying goodbye to us. So how could we actually help them to navigate, like the burnout which they might be experiencing, is coming forward?
I think that we hear a lot about mental health. We hear a lot now or speak more on wellness. And so we know that that is a part of our well-being, even outside of the classroom. We know that mental health and wellness is should be a part of our regular regime and who we are. But I think that people struggle with what that looks like for them, the strategies that entail, because what may work for me may not work for you, right? And so it's a matter of learning what that looks like. So for me, my tip would be to teachers, it would be that spirituality, and then that social emotional strategy side of it. And so what that looks like for me is finding that outlet. There are different characteristics to a healthy mentally teacher. And so we talk about the dysfunction of it, but we don't really talk about the characteristics of a healthy mental health teacher, right? And so that looks like finding an outlet, being able to go to somebody either on campus or even outside of campus to be able to verbally communicate what's going on, what's bothering you, or what you may need support in, right? Creating that time and that space for yourself. On my Instagram page, I just recently posted a post where I was sitting in the office and I talked about how we have to have that downtime before we even leave work to go home. Because when you get ready to walk out that door, you're going home. And sometimes we're not in a mental space to deal with our own family. Because we have been dealing with that all day at work with kids. And so we're taking those things home. And unfortunately, we are lashing out or we're not present with our own families. So that may look like before you go home, just sitting in your car before you walk into that door and deal with your own family, or just taking that time and being silent, whether that means meditating or not. Sometimes it's best for us to just sit in silence and to process. And I think we learned that best also during the pandemic, when people were forced to be by themselves, forced to be with their own thoughts, forced to be at home. We saw that it raised concerns for people mentally because life goes and we're constantly moving. That was the first time that everybody was forced to sit down. Research says that people struggle with even sitting in silence for 5 minutes.
True.
And why? We have to ask ourselves, why is that the case? Because we don't want to reflect. It takes work to process that.
Yep. And it's, it's taking the mirror and putting it to your face. And not everybody like to, what you see, not everybody feel comfortable with it. That's what reflection does.
Yes. So let's talk about the healthy characteristics, controlling your workload. But that then also take knowing yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. Controlling your workload. If someone asks you to do something at work and you are already overwhelmed, it's okay for you to say no. It's okay for you to ask, what does this entail? Because a lot of times we accept things and we don't even know what all it entails. How long it's going to take us to complete it, how much time it's going to take for us to complete it, what all we have to do. We don't dissect those things. And so for you to be healthy mentally as a teacher, you have to first reflect on where I am mentally now and what it's going to take for me to get this work done, because it is work. Get this work done. So we need to look at those healthy characteristics, being able to escape. For me, when I go into work, I go in early every day because I do my devotions. That's important to me. I need that time to sit there. I need that time to meditate, to go over scripture, to affirm myself. to sit there and think about what my day may look like so that when it does go off course, I'm mentally prepared for that. I'm not freaking out. I'm not flustered. I know how to pivot. And so I think the pandemic has taught us how to pivot. So we have to dig deep, Ms. Debbie, as far as personally before we can get to it professionally.
Thank you. It's interesting because you've said something that which is so interesting, because when teachers are asked to do something, they don't ask, what is it entail? They just accept it. And when they realize what's entail, then the panic comes. And it's like, oh my goodness, how do I do this? And I say that all the time to new teacher. I say, it doesn't matter who asks you to do something. You need to ask, okay, what is it involved? And if you cannot do it, you just say, okay, sorry, I cannot do because I've got X, Y, Z. Not to feel that you have to do it. That's why we have this high burnout rate, because teachers feel that they constantly have to do when they're asked. Instead of saying, well, what does it involve? Oh, no, I'm not too sure I could do this right now, It's okay to say you're not too sure. But the fear of losing the job, the fear of what's happening, that they just take it on, and halfway through they're burnt out because they cannot manage it.
They can't manage. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I would like to give the 5 tips for a healthy teacher mentally. 1, as stated, monitor your workload, right? Keep things in perspective. Keep things in perspective so that when things go off course, you are able to deal with those things. Keep talking to other people about how you feel. Also, I would say make time for the things that you love. Working out is an escape for me. Running, getting out in nature. I didn't realize how much that played a big part in what I do until the pandemic, actually. I didn't realize that. Just a change of environment that makes a big difference. And set your own expectations. I am at the point in my educational career where I'm learning balance. When I leave on Friday, I do not check my email and I don't have them coming to my phone. I do not pick that laptop, my email back up until on Monday morning. And people say, how do you do that as a principal? Well, you have to find that balance. Now, if it's an emergency or SOS, guess what? Somebody's going to call me. Somebody's going to text me. They will get to me. But as far as me going looking for it, you have to set your own expectations.
Thank you for that. I so agree with this. And I say to teachers all the time, do not answer your email after you leave that building. Do not have the school email on your private phone. Do not look at that email until you get into that classroom though, right? And for me, it's like I remember one the partner said, oh, but an email was sent to you. I haven't seen it. I said, when I go, I'm going to open my email. Because you see, it's like too many times I'm hearing they say, oh, I'll check it. I've got it on my phone. I said, why have you got it on your phone? Why do you have it on your phone? You don't need it on your phone. And this is the thing teacher does all the time. I remember putting a post in one of the education group I was in. And I said to them, how many of you look at your email when you leave the school? It was over 400 and something teachers. And then I said, that should be a no-no. That is a no-no. Because and some teachers, when they're off sick, they're still looking at the email. You're sick. Why are you looking at your emails?
You say they sick.
I don't understand that. When I'm off sick, I don't have email on my phone, and I do not go to the school email on my computer. When I get to the building, I go in and I go to my emails.
Me too.
I do not have email. I don't open the school email on my computer. I don't know how to open it. I've never done, and I have no intention of doing that. It's sad because this is something a lot of teachers do, and I'm saying it's a no-no. That's the reason why you are getting burnout. You're not at work.
They don't know how to cut it off.
And it's beautiful. You as an assistant principal, saying those things. They need to hear it.
Yes, absolutely. I have my email on my phone. I don't do my notifications. I'm like you. When I even with talking with other principals, I'm like, why do you have notifications on your phone? Like, you know, it automatically takes us back. Just like you said, when a teacher look at that email, you almost feel obligated to respond right then and there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
important.
done. I don't
Yes.
do. It's like when I walk in, if I have to be on cover, I'm walking. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I might be on cover. Let me, fling the bag down and go into the computer straight away. Let's just check. So I have it in my head. Oh my goodness, you're on cover. Come on, get your stuff sorted to go. I mean, in your building. I'm not doing that outside. I don't need to know before I get to the classroom. And I so agree with you that. Thank you so much. And it's beautiful coming from an assistant principal that it's a no-no. It's a no-no.
It's a no-no.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was looking, there was something on a principal said, I think it was in America, that he encourages teachers to have separation. Do not do anything to do with school once they leave the building.
I agree.
Yeah. He said, nothing to do with school when you leave the building. He said, you need to separate it. He said, it doesn't matter what it is. You leave school at school, and when you go home, you start dealing with home. Forget about school. And he said, as a principal, that's what he advocates. He said he don't care what it is. He said to his teacher, you leave it in the school. Do not take anything at home. And he actually, I think there was some book he's written or article he's written which actually specifies that. And he said he don't want them to take anything at home.
That's
and
right.
I thought that's brilliant. Brilliant.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's brilliant because as people keep on saying, teaching is a vocation. I know that, but we don't have to eat, live, and breathe it.
That's right. No other job does that. Why do we have to do that?
Exactly.
Right. It's a balance. It is a tough balance. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The thing I'm struggling with now is the marking I'm coming home with I come home with the marking and on principle I say, you know what, I'm not doing you. So I say, you know what, Debbie, you're not doing it weekend, you might as well leave it over there. Stop bringing it home as a prop, psychological prop.
Yes, bring it home and say I'm gonna do it and I don't even do it.
It's like I'm saying, I am not doing it. I'm telling myself I'm not doing it. So why did you come with the jam marking at home? When you get home and you told yourself you're not doing it? So it's like a psychological thing. I need to psychologically tell myself, leave it on the desk because you're not going to do it. When you get home, you tell yourself you're not doing it.
That's
so
true.
I just need to practice that across
the board.
Yeah.
I think that also comes with the experience too, Ms. Debbie, because what about the teacher that is overwhelmed and have anxiety because they are constantly thinking about, even when they are at home on the weekend, they are constantly thinking about what they have to do at work. They can't mentally rest because they're thinking about how many grades they haven't graded this, or all the things they have to do. And when I say it comes with experience, because as teachers, you start figuring out things that make your job a little bit easier. For instance, using technology to your advantage, maybe having that work where it is uploaded and where it is graded automatically, or you just set it, or Scantron. I know that's old school, but something where it makes it easy, because a lot of teachers, especially in high school, I don't know how you guys are structured, but we're like in periods. We have like 8 periods a day for maybe about 50 minutes. So think about an English teacher. You have 100 papers to grade. Or you may have all these things. So it comes with time where you figure out a system where you're able to get that done at a reasonable time, and you don't feel pressured to get it all done and get it graded, because that can be overwhelming.
Yeah. And one of the things I start doing this lot is getting students to pay a mark, and then I just overlook it to see if I say, okay, I realize that you've given this, your friend too many marks, so therefore I'm docking. So, that is such a huge difference. getting them to peer mark. So, when they peer mark, you don't just leave it. You actually take it and just, because you just look at the question, okay, 5 out of 10, does it this? And you quickly read it. Oh, no, I'm going to up it. And it's so fast when they actually peer mark themselves. And I've done a lot of that, because it makes a lot of difference. Because as one student say, oh, but Miss, you're not marking it. I say, of course I am. I say, your friends mark it, but I'm checking to see if they're giving you marks that you shouldn't. I said, that's the thing. And it's interesting because one said to me, oh, but Miss, I had a high grade. And then when I got it back from you, you docked the grade. I said, that's the reason why we look over it. It really does help. And I would suggest to any teacher, all teachers out there, peer mark, get students to peer mark the work. Yes, you are looking over it because you are checking to see have they marked it, graded correctly, because you're doing your input as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say to us before we say goodbye to our people?
No, I just thank you so much for having me. And I would just like to encourage all educators, teachers, just keep going. It take one day at a time and keep going. My motto is inspire, influence, and impact. You guys got this and you can do this. It's the end of the year. Take that time to reflect and go back in there bigger and better. You get better with time.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And one of the things I say to my student and I say to my teacher, be bold, be brave, and be positively blatant.
Love that. Love that. Love that.
We have to be.
You have to be. You have to be.
Yep.
I love that. And can I say where I can be reached or you can find me, Ms. Debbie?
Yes. And send the information so I could put it down. Did you say you wrote a book, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Because that's what I'm doing in the next few weeks. I've got so many teachers or different people on my platform because I have 3 platforms. I've got the empowerment women platform where, I have other women who talk about what inspired them to come on the empowerment journey. And I have a home education platform. And now I have the female education. I've had a number of female people who've written a book, and I'm going to get them, like one at a time to discuss the book and share the book and tell us where, tell the others where they could get it. So in the next few weeks, I'll be communicating with you. So you could share your book, tell us about it, and tell us where we could get it, and tell us more about your book. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. I would appreciate that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I have a book called Faith, Fear, Resilience, How to Reclaim Your Educational Life. It can be, you can go to my website or you can go on Amazon and pick it up. Also, I can be reached at I Am the Confidence Coach on Instagram and on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
Okay, brilliant. Anyway, send me the link. Send the link for me after. And I would actually, get in touch with you in the next few weeks because I'm going to get people one at a time because I think it's nice for one at a time so they could actually tell us about the book, and then tell us where to get it and stuff like that. Yes, so that's my thing because mine is still finished. I've got 2 chapters left to finish that book of mine, and I'm just.
You gotta get it done.
I know. And I keep on saying 2 chapters. Come on, get the 2 chapters done. I have to. And it's like, when you're in education, something come up and you just, and I'm thinking, no, you have to get the book done by this year. It's gonna be done. Because my book coach said to me, is it dead? I said to him, no, I'm reviving it. He said, is it dead? I said, is it dead? No, it's not. So this weekend I need to send him, one of the last, I've got 1 more chapter after this one to finish it off.
Good, congratulations. You got to get that book done. Somebody's out there waiting to hear your story.
Yes, because it's called The Ultimate Guide to Teaching 12 Ways to Love It. I'm trying to show teachers how to love teaching, right? They're leaving, I'm trying to show them how to love it.
Yes, we need that.
Thank you very, very much, Aisha. It was fantastic. Thank you for accepting the offer to come and share your journey with us as an assistant principal. And a lot of things that you've said is really, really powerful, because it makes teachers feel, well, if this is coming from an assistant principal, who am I as a teacher not to do the same thing? And I think that is so powerful, because too often we feel that we could do everything. No, educators, you cannot do everything. And you are not superwoman or superman. Do not allow anybody to call you super nothing, because then it comes an unrealistic expectation that everybody feel that you are superhero. I am no superhero. I'm just Debbie doing a job, because the more they keep on putting you the label of a superhero, they have an expectation which is unrealistic of a superhero, and we not.
That's powerful.
Yeah, we're not. We need to be real here. You know, I'm not, sorry, I can't do that. Anyway, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Facebook people. Yesterday I was meant to come on, but it took me over 3 hours to get home yesterday because we had a strike. And there was a strike. And then when I got to the other train station, according to them, a tree fell on the line. As a result of that, there were no trains. And then I had to take 3 buses to come. And the time I left work at 4:30. I didn't get home until after 8. And I had a show at 4:30. I had a show at 7:30. It was exactly, and it was the buses. It's like, and the bus stops are full, and the bus traffic. Oh my! Yesterday was a nightmare.
You had a journey getting home.
I did.
Yes.
That's why I couldn't do my show yesterday, because I had a home education, home educator came on, and I couldn't, because I had to cancel that because I was joining home. But you know what? In spite of all of that, I still support the strike, right? In spite of me struggling to get home, I still support the strike, because the fact is we need to make a stand, because as teachers, we also on strike. We also have to go on strike because the cost of living is going up, but pay is not going up. Come on, we need to be real.
That's right.
Yes,
indeed. It was my pleasure being on your show. I have really, truly enjoyed myself. I hope this is not the last time.
No, it definitely would not be, my dearest. Thank you very much, Facebook people. And